Okay, so question 1 says determine which sets of numbers the following number belongs to. So we're looking at negative 18 here. So rational numbers mean any number that can be written as a fraction. And we know that negative 18 can be written as negative 18 over 1. So that is a rational number. Now integers are counting numbers 0 and their opposites. So this is the opposite of a counting number, just like you count like 1, 2, 3, 4. 18 is the opposite of one of those numbers. It's a negative version. So that would be considered part of this set. And then whole numbers are 0 plus the counting numbers. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like you'd find on a number line. But this is on the other side of 0, so it's not considered a whole number. So it would not be in that category. Question 2 excuse me, says order the values from least to greatest. Now we need to really pay attention to the order there of least to greatest. Now remember, when you have these straight up and down lines on either side, that means that we're talking about the absolute value of those numbers. So that means that we're essentially getting rid of like the negative. Or finding the distance the number is away from 0. So here we have 12. So the absolute value of 12 is 12. The absolute value of negative 0.25 is just 0.25. And then the absolute value of negative 53 is just 53. And then the absolute value of negative 13, is just 13. So since we want to go from least to greatest, the least number here is going to be 0.25. So that's going to be our number 1. And then we have the next number would be 12, will be 2, then 13 is 3, and then finally we have 53 in the 4th spot. Number 3 says which of these situations can be represented by the opposite of 24? So the opposite of 24 is negative 24. So let's see what we've got here. So it says an airplane descends, which means to go down 24 miles. That's probably going to be our answer, but let's make sure the other ones don't work. So then we have an elevator ascends, which means to go up 24 feet. That one's not going to work. And then we have a train ticket costs $24 more than expected. That's not going to work because that's in addition. And then we have you add 24 songs. That's going up too. So that's the only one that's going down or, losing or subtracting. So in that case, it's going to be the only option that will work for us. Now here it says, write these values in order from least to greatest, but notice, unlike the other one we did, this does not have absolute value bars. So what I would recommend doing is placing these on a number line. And we have 0 kind of in the middle. So 12 is going to be on the right of 0. Then we have negative 24, which is going to be on the left of 0 because it's negative. Negative 12 will be in between negative 24 and 0. And then we have 10, which will be right about there. So if we want to put these in order from least to greatest, the least number here is going to be 24. Or negative 24, So that will be number 1. Then number 2 is negative 12. Then we have 10 is our third number, and then our 4th number will be 12, or our greatest number. Question number 5 is asking which model represents negative 5 plus 2. So we always start at 0, and we want to go in the negative direction, which is to the left 5. So this one goes to the left 2. That's not going to work, so we can eliminate that one. This one goes to the left 5, which is good. This one goes to the left 5, and this one goes to the left 5. So far, B, C, and D are still good answer options. Then we have the next part is we are going to continue, but this time we're going to go in the positive direction too. Now we want to continue on from the point that we stopped at. So since we just went to the to the left 5, now we want to go to the right 2 from that spot. So this one looks like it's going to be our answer, but let's check our other ones. So here we go to the left 5, and then we continue going to the left 2 more, and that's going to be the same as like negative 5 plus negative 2. But we don't have a negative 2 here, so that's why that one doesn't work. And then from here, this is going to the left 5, but then it did go to the right 2, but instead of going from here over 2, it went from 0 over 2, which isn't going to work. So that's why this one doesn't work. So B would be our answer choice here. Okay, then we have our first problem, which is -8 plus 3. Remember, you want to ask yourself 2 questions. You want to ask yourself, how do you find the sign and how do you find the number? So the first thing you have to do is figure out, do you have same signs or different signs? So I have a -8 and a +3. So that means that I have different signs. So that means I need to find the difference in the numbers, and then to find if it's going to be a positive or a negative number, I need to figure out which number has the biggest absolute value, or like number piece, and then we'll keep that sign. So in this case, 8 has a bigger absolute value than 3, so that means that, and since 8 is negative, our answer is going to be negative, and then we want to subtract 8 minus 3, which gives us 5. So our answer here would be -5. On this one, we have -10 plus -3. And in this case, I see that I have the same signs. So when I have the same signs, I'm going to want to keep the sign that I already have. In this case, both of them are negative, so my answer will be negative. And then I want to add my numbers together. So I have 10 plus 3, which gives me -13. On question 8, I need to find the sum of -3/5 plus a +2/5. Now here again, I have one negative and one positive number, so I need to figure out which one has the bigger absolute value. In this case, 3/5 is bigger than 2/5. So I'm going to want to make my answer negative. And then what I need to do here is I want to subtract the top numbers. Remember, whenever you're adding or subtracting fractions, you keep the bottom number the same. So I'm still going to have 5 at the bottom, and then I do 3 minus 2, which gives me 1. So my answer would be -1/5. On this one, I see that I have 2 negatives, so they both have the same sign, so my answer is going to be negative. And then I want to add those together. So I have 12.2 plus 3.5. 2 and 5 gives me 7, bring down my decimal. 2 and 3 gives me 5, bring down the 1. So my answer is -15.7. The next one, we want to find the sum here. They're both negative, so my answer will also be negative. And then since they're both negative, I want to add them. So I'm going to have a 7 at the bottom, and then I have 2 plus 3, which gives me 5. So my answer is -5/7. On this one, I start off with -3 minus 2. We're switching gears a little bit here because now we're starting to talk about subtraction. So whenever I am subtracting, I want to change this to an addition problem by adding the opposite of my second number. So I bring down my first number. I don't change that. Keep your first number. And then I want to add, change my subtraction to addition, the opposite of this number. Since it was originally a +2, now it's going to be a -2. After I rewrite it as addition, now all I have to do is I need to follow my addition rules that we were just talking about. So they're both negative, so my answer is going to be negative. And since they both have the same signs, I want to add them. So 3 plus 2, will give me 5. So my answer is going to be -5. I have 3 minus 8 on this one, which I can rewrite as 3 plus -8. These have opposite signs, so I want to keep the sign of the larger absolute value number. In this case, that's going to be negative because 8 is bigger than 3. And then I want to subtract my numbers. So 8 minus 3 gives me -5. That's my answer. Here I have 12 minus -3. I want to rewrite that as 12 plus, since 3 was negative. Now I want to make it a +3. And we know that 12 plus 3 gives us just 15. Number 14 is -5 minus -6. So when I rewrite this, I keep my -5, and then I want to subtract, or change subtraction to addition. The opposite of -6 is a +6. They have opposite signs. 6 has a larger absolute value, and it's positive, so my answer will be positive. And then I want to subtract 6 minus 5, which gives me a +1. Last one, I have 4 sevenths minus negative 1/7, which I want to change to 4 sevenths plus a positive 1/7. So I'm going to have a 7 at the bottom, and then I just want to add 4 plus 1, which gives me 5. So my answer is 5 sevenths.